Hello, my name is Jane Feng. I'm a real estate investor and a real estate broker. I specialize in residential investment and commercial real estate. I have been investing over a decade while I was still working as a full-time in a IT professional job. Today, we want to talk about Ontario Commercial Tenancy Act. A disclaimer before we start. You must seek legal advices or any accounting advices if you are going to go into commercial real estate. And everything that I talk about here is my personal opinion and is my own experience. For some of us who have been investing in the residential market, we probably started to feel some stress because of the inefficiency of the LTB, right, the Landlord Tenancy Board for the residential tenants. Many tenants may stop paying rent, and to evict them or to have them leave the premise, it might take easily 3 months, 4 months, 8 months, and lately it is actually past 8 months for someone to actually evict a tenant who are not paying rent. This may cause a lot of stress for many small landlords because they are depending on the monthly payment to pay the mortgage. However, commercial tenants are completely different. So today we're going to talk about a little bit of the Commercial Tenancy Act and see how it is different for commercial tenants. Notice this law is only applicable for commercial tenants only, and it doesn't apply to residential tenants and landlords. The Commercial Tenancy Act describes the relationships, the rights and obligations between commercial tenants and the landlords. We strongly recommend you to seek legal advices regardless if you're a commercial tenant or a commercial landlord. For example, for non-payment of rent, if a commercial tenant did not pay rent on the due date, a landlord can change the locks of the unit and evict the commercial tenant on the 16th day after the rent is due. So for example, if the rent is due on December 1st, the landlord can change the lock without notification to the tenants on the 17th day. This is again for commercial tenants and commercial landlord. And the landlord and or the tenants should not force their way into the premises. The landlord should allow reasonable access to the rental units for the tenants to retrieve their properties after the lock is changed. So for a non-payment, you can simply change the lock without telling the tenants. In terms of rent increases, when we are doing a rental for commercial, we usually have a commercial lease which outlines all of the amount of the rent and all of the rent increases per year. So typically we might sign a 5 years lease with a 5-year option, or maybe a 10 years lease with a 5 years plus 5 years options. And inside the lease, we typically would already describe the existing current rent and the TMI, and also the rent increase year by year, all the way until, maybe the next 10 years or the next 20 years, depending how long the lease is. If there is no current tenancy agreement, meaning that if you don't have a current lease in place, the landlord actually can increase the rent by any amount at any time. The Ontario Commercial Tenancy Act does not regulate that. Landlord should give reasonable notice to tenants of a rent increase in writing. And also, commercial landlord is not required to pay any interest on the tenant's security deposit under the Act. If the tenants want to end a tenancy, there are multiple types of tenancy. We have month to month, or we have a fixed term. So let's talk about the fixed term, which is more common. If the tenant agreement, which is the lease, is a fixed term agreement, it would specify the terms of the lease. So for example, the lease could be 10 years plus 5 years option plus 5-year options. So the lease is 10 years. And the tenant is obligated to stay and pay the rent for the entire duration. So, for example, if you sign a 10-year lease as a tenant with a commercial landlord, you are obligated to pay the entire 10 years. Even if you want to leave in the middle, you still have to pay the 10 years. However, you have the right to sublet it to other people so that the other sublet tenant can pay the rest of the term for you. And at the end of the term, so for example, at the end of the 10 years, let's pretend your lease is 10 years term. At the end of the 10 years, the tenant has no right to occupy the premise anymore. So you must leave if the landlord, is not renewing the lease with you. And if the tenant does not leave the unit after the landlord has requested them to move out, the tenant may be subject to a 2-month penalty for every month that they stay, plus whatever other applicable costs. So this is a very quick overview of a commercial tenancy, which is a lot different from residential tenancy. And it might also become a very attractive investment for landlords and investors who may be a bit tired of the LTV right now. And if you're interested to invest in commercial real estate as a landlord, please contact me and I can introduce you to some good real estate investment with ready commercial tenants that are willing to sign a 20-year lease with you. Also, I publish a treasure map on a monthly basis to talk about what are the good investment potentials property, which may include land development, multiplex, or even commercial real estate. If you're interested, please sign up here. And please like and subscribe the YouTube video. My contact information is here. Thank you very much and have a good day.